Dr. Sharnael, though, gosh, her and I go way back. She's an incredible being. She's written some books. She's got an incredible background in like naturopath, nutrition, and she has a tarot deck. So, I mean, we're talking about the science of miracles today, and what an appropriate show for today, because I think people are all going through a lot, and the useful gems that you can bring us are so valuable. So in sort of the here and now and where we're at as a collective, how do you kind of navigate this? And what does it take for you to sort of manifest or generate miracles in your own life? And where do you see us, in the collective? And I mean, isn't there like the dark night of the soul on a collective level, but there's also a miracle energy that's coming into the collective where the timelines and what we're seeing can absolutely shift? I mean, kind of where are you at with all that?
Yes. So thank you for having me, Laura. It's always good to be with you. For me, although it is very much, the law of attraction can seem sort of like oogie boogie, whatever. It doesn't have to be. It's just the science. And as a scientist, I look at energy and I look at the DNA and I look at what we're doing, and not only what we're doing individually, but what we're doing, like you said, as a collective. And so we have those opportunities when especially things kind of get triggered, which a lot of people that I'm working with right now, a lot of my patients and myself at times, as you know, there's opportunities for growth and to kind of gut out or move out some of those things that are buried really, really, really deep in the DNA. And what I'm seeing with the things that are going on the earth right now, I mean, I don't know about you, but this has been pretty much the weirdest time of my entire being on this planet. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I'm hearing a lot of stuff from a lot of different people, but those things do affect the vibrational level of our DNA. And when they do, anything that's hidden there, anything that's ready to come up, anything that's dark and ready to move up, then it kind of gets a jolt. And, some of that has to do with the energy of the earth. Some of it could be galactic, and then some of it can be situational or things in other people. But all of it starts in here. And so if it's in here, then it has the opportunity to come into the field, and basically you'll attract what you are. You only get what you are. And so when you start to see, or when I start to see patterns that are like maybe not for my highest choice, then that's the time for me to look at, okay, what is it in me that's creating that? What is that in my DNA that's creating that? And some of it is consciously, but most of it is subconsciously. So it's an underlying tape that may be there from when we were incarnated at the DNA level, or it could be some things, way back when we were kids, or it could be whatever. But there's things that are just kind of opportunity to move out, because and there are a lot of things moving out right now. It's a big giant thing. It's kind of like cleaning out the garage. Things get really messy before they clear out. Sometimes it looks worse than a healing crisis, for example. Same thing. You might have a detox and you can feel really terrible, and like your body can be like, oh, but the other side of that is it's really your body kicks in to heal then, and everything starts to move out, and it gives you that room to more space for God.
Right. And so it's like a time of acceleration. And so with like trigger events and psychological operations, they're trying to almost like keep us stuck in the garage and keep us looping in our garbage, right? Instead of clearing it out. So can you talk to us about like the targeting and the trigger events and psychological operations? And
I always love how you explain things. That's so good. I call it, it could be signature loops, time loops. It could be, because our DNA has its own signature, and a lot of it is incorporated with timetables. So it could be your timetable of maybe something cyclical from May of 10 years ago, and then something pops up again. But it also can be cyclical of like major events collectively. Like you and I were a part of one that we did in Dallas at 9/11, where we were trying to move out the timeline and try to reset the timeline from the 9/11 issue, because with the Mockingbird media, what they do is they get all this television and news to recycle these old pictures, which trigger everyone and get them stuck in these loops. So they're reliving things instead of moving it out. They're just feeling all the fear and the anger and the trauma and whatever, or the sadness, and it keeps people locked in if they're not aware of it and if they're not open to moving through it and transmuting it.
So wouldn't you say the willingness is what helps to bring in the miracle vibration, but in sort of a more speedy way, like almost like one can snap one's fingers and have an epiphany versus contemplating and processing until like a nugget of wisdom comes. So a miracle would be an accelerated, like almost breakthrough, and that something manifests in a very instant way, sort of like a timeline jump even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, miracles can be instant or they can be weeks or months or whatever. Like example, healing someone naturally of, the C word or something like that. It's like, if it takes 3 weeks or 4 months, or a year, is that still a healing? Yeah, because our healing bodies, our bodies are miraculous and they're meant to heal, and we can do it on our own in the right circumstances. We have to have the right terrain, that's detoxed and have a good immunity system and everything working in the right direction. But then there are those cases where it is, and I have seen and witnessed many instant miracles that happen like right away. It's like, boom, there it drops. And there's just this awesome shift that happens. But willingness is a big key. And I'll give you an example. I had went to a guy named Dr. Lucky. He's an MD, but he's also like,
you said Dr. Lucky?
Yes, I know, right? He's into like all this quantum stuff, all this energy medicine. Like he has all these crazy machines and everything. And when I first went to him like 15 years ago, like I was dealing with a lot of different things. I was on a lot of things, but he said to me that 86% of everything physical is actually comes from emotional issues. So he hands me this clipboard and it has a piece of paper on it. And as soon as I'm hooked up to these machines, and when he hands it to me, I'm basically like set the machine off to go berserko. And I was like, oh no. And then you could see his face was like, oh gosh, like not the thing you want to see your doctor doing. But I look at the paper and the paper's like, I am beautiful. I am divine. I am love. I have a call. I have a purpose. I have destiny, like all this stuff. And I was like, well, what is the deal? And basically he's like, everything on that paper, your body just like rejected it basically. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And I didn't want to say, like, I was scared he was going to ask me, like, what do you do for a living? Could be like, oh, I'm a teacher of all these things. It's like kind of like not a very good representative if like I'm not believing it for myself on the thing. Now, mind you, this is an important part. 3 weeks prior, I kept having these reoccurring dreams that said, it's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. It's time to meet Will. And I was like, who's Will? Like, I didn't know if it was like a person at a conference that I was doing or some travel event or, someone who was coordinator or like another speaker. So I was like, does anyone know William, Willie, Bill, like asking my assistant, like what's going on? Nobody could find anything on the schedule like that. So I was like, okay. So when I met Dr. Lucky and all this happened, he hands me the paper. I'm like, whatever. I'm super like nervous that he's going to say, what do you do for a living? Cause I'm going to be like, I'm a pro baller, or like, I collect stamps or something. Like I don't want to tell him like I'm a teacher of these things. Cause that's, like I said, it's embarrassing. But at the same time, I looked at this and I was like, wow, that says a lot of, it was telling for me. I had to like accept that. I had to realize. And I said, what do I do? And he takes the paper, takes the clipboard, and he just writes at the top a couple of words, and then he hands it back to me. And when he does, the machines are fine. And I was like, what did you do? And he's like, I want you to read it, and I want you to read it again, but I want you to put the 2 words at the top in front of it. And when I looked at the 2 words, it said, I will. I was like, huh? And he's like, get in the mirror. I want you to say, I will that I'm love. I will that I'm destiny, I will that I am beautiful. I will, I will, I will. I was like, okay, I don't get it. And he says, your will is 400,000 times stronger than your spirit. Like, our will can actually override God in us because will is that much stronger energetically. And so then all of a sudden I remember it's time to meet will. So I was like, oh, that's what the dreams were about. It's just like, remembering my willpower and my action. Because we can just like wait on God, and like people are like, oh, I'm just praying or whatever. And it's like, I understand that. But also there is a call to action at times where it's just like you put your will into it. You take some action steps. You put your intention out there, but also there is action to go with it. So as a collective, if we all did that individually and then work together as a collective, we can actually already be there. And it's just a matter of people choosing. And there's these cycles even in our timelines of the earth. And here we're at another cycle. And it's like they seem to get, bigger and bigger and better and give us this opportunity to once and for all, like, deal with it and transmute it and fix it and do something or do nothing. And,
Right.
I don't want them to get traction. I personally would love for everyone to just stand up and be like, you know what, I'm going to deal with this inside and I'm going to deal with this outside and let's just do something.
Right. And like come together in harmony and appreciate the diversity and acknowledge the mind control and social engineering that has to be cleared, and like, it's like the priorities, ending, human trafficking and like these horrific abuses against, humanity, deciding that we're determined to unify on these fronts, but acknowledge, how belief systems and our own personal triggers are being played so that, we're conquered and divided. So can you speak to us a little bit about just sort of the mind control part of it and just these different operations, like, and these, kind of false movements or false flag operations that we see in the news to just make it impossible to achieve the goal of coming together to prioritize the things I just mentioned, pedophilia and child trafficking?
Well, a house divided cannot stand. And that starts within us. But of course, like you mentioned, as a collective, when there's unity and we're in our divine alignment, then we're our strongest. When we remember God and us, and we remember all the things that God is, God would never put up with pedophilia or lying or anything like that, because it isn't God at all. And God is love, and love would not fall into that and accept sin, which I don't really like that word sin, but sin just means missing the mark. And I'm telling you, there's all kinds, no matter what religion or what ideals you have, hurting children is not acceptable. It's not anything to do with love. So, but yeah, there's social engineering with not only the psyche attack, through towers, chemtrails, the cell phone towers, the food, which is it really food? Definitely the Mockingbird agenda with not just music and movies and TV and everything that comes through that television programming that we, can or cannot just participate in. But the reason why they use those things is because they know the power of our creativity. And the word imagination comes from image. And when we lock in our creative abilities to something on a visual level, then that actually shifts us to our heart chakra. And that heart chakra actually comes into agreement with that and that alignment. So then you have your thought process, your heart process, and then you may even talk about it, or you may write about it or post about it. But when that alignment happens and that becomes a belief, then you come alive in it, be alive in that. And that puts an energetic push of code out into the field, and it actually creates. So they can use this technology to get us locked in to these images where we're imaging the nation or the world at that point, instead of, actually seeing something positive. They could put all kinds of things out there. We could put all the kinds of things out there that would steer the narrative for sure, like not having, the diapers on our face or whatever, just reminding people about their immunity or their technology within our cells. Like that, if that was on mainstream media, I mean, Laura, you tell me.
Right.
What would it be like if mainstream media every single day just reminded everybody about the power of God within us and the technology that we have in our DNA?
Right. And then with the subliminals and the Mockingbird media, what we grow up with magazines and the messages coming through cartoons and even just the predictive programming in movies, of course, and the type of individuals, right? The celebrities and even the anchors, the news anchors, are being brainwashed, blackmailed, or conditioned to play these roles, and sort of like magnetize people based in sort of their appearance, right? And the manipulation of all that to children, and self-esteem, starts real young too. And then the fakery and the foolishry, of course, is a result. But, we don't live on a very deep level because of it. And really just that's part of the greater programming. It's not just our minds, it's our self-esteem, it's our emotions. So talk to us a little bit about the multifaceted nature of the programming, but also how miracles and the manifestation of miracles is sort of that, greater alchemy, and doing the inner work and the shadow work can help us be more regenerative and generative of the miracle frequency.
Yes. So just like they can do what they're doing, we can do what we're doing, and we can project different images. We can, whether it's Facebook or social media, YouTube, I don't know, go out with a billboard, whatever the situation is. If even like 50%, 40%, really, statistically, they say 3%. If 3% of us actually got to the point where we were like, you know what, we're going to go a different direction, and then actually took action with it, we could shift everything. But, again, going back to the imagination, for example, like if you have someone in your family that's ill and you post on your page, on your Facebook page, like a picture of someone in the hospital with all the tubes coming out and blah, blah, blah. And let's say you have 400 friends, and then you post it. That post goes to your 400 friends. And that's like, if not, they don't even share, but they might share or tag or whatever. And then their friends see it. And so there's this multiplication of everyone being locked into that image that you have now put out, not you personally, but whoever puts something out of like a negative, I would say negative person in a vulnerable state. And so our image technology locks into that, and we hold it. We don't on purpose hold it. It's just how we're built to when we see things, or feel things or participate in anything like that, then it just attaches, it stays. And so when we give that amplification by sending it out multiple places and giving that energetic amplification, then actually we are creating something more difficult for that person, because now we're holding them in a negative space. So if you do have an opportunity to bring the flip side of that, you can actually post a picture of someone like in a positive state, in their most, thriving situation, and put it out there, please vote victory prayers or send good vibrations to whoever, and put it out there, and then let everyone lock into that and image that and hold that space and that image for the person. Then we can bring a positive shift to that person just by, and they've done this scientifically many, many times. They've just had like 3 people, 2 people, so the more people, better. I mean, they've done it even with what they started out with just on a collective, they put these generators in different places in the States, and they were measuring different things on the earth, and accidentally the Schumann guy is who started all this, or actually found it. It was back when O.J. Simpson was having his deal, and it was all over the news, and we were all like, I don't know if you were, but a lot of people were locked in and seeing all of this on the news for the first time, and everybody was just like, oh, there's the white Bronco, and we all kind of had our energy there, and it showed on these generators that there was a shift on the earth in response to that day. And there's been many times since then with like Princess Diana getting married, with her passing, with 9/11, with different things on the earth. A certain president that actually is still the president. Like, there's been times when things have happened with him that it actually shifted because of all the energy that locks in on an earthly level in the collective. So we have the power to shift things. And, this is where the science of miracles is. It's not just some, let's just hope for it, and you kind of just throw it out there. But there's actually a science to it, because the biofield is 6 to 8 feet. And it's a collection of what we're thinking, what we're talking about, what we're feeling. And then there's a projection from our cells and our DNA, and that goes out in code. The code goes out, it radiates, but it also magnetizes. So we push that out. And then when went around other people, they have their own field, which it's, significant too, that they want us 6 feet away. Hello. So we're not picking up on other people's fields, because what if that person actually has a brain and they're putting out some good vibes of positivity and, regeneration and miracles and life and love, then we would not be able to participate in that. We would maybe stay in our own little whatever situation we're in. So hugging and touch and all that is very, very important to not just the brain waves and the body chemistry, but just overall emotions. And you mentioned emotions, everything in those boxes, those programming boxes, they all shoot out information on beta waves. Beta waves with the brain has to do with fight or flight. So they're on purpose already gearing it towards fight or flight, just to scare the shit out of everybody. And it's just like, it's even with the weather, so the engineering with that, there's just all the levels, but we are powerful beings, and we can override all of that. We can override all of it. It's just a matter of will, of recognizing what's going on and having the willpower to identify that, and also take action to not only be responsible for our own biofield, our own mindset, our ideas, our choices, but also, being mindful of other people and finding people who are like-minded so we can get together and actually make a difference in the world.
Right. And just like the mind viruses spread and the programming and conditioning spreads, we have to conduct ourselves with integrity and have belief systems that at least can create harmony, mutual love and respect despite our differences, so like how can we best navigate? People that are listening that might be dealing with friends or family that won't hear them out, maybe they're losing it because of their empathic overload, or so-and-so's getting maybe the jab that they're close with, or they feel kind of unseen. Is it kind of like dance like nobody's watching and just do your thing and it's okay? Like what kind of wisdom or advice can you give people?
That's a great question. If we get into control and manipulation by trying to get everybody to do what we want, then we're actually no better than what's going on out there. For me, it goes back to, I guess, dancing like nobody's watching kind of deal. Like what you said, is just like being sovereign, recognizing that I can be sovereign and that I can make my own choices. And with my integrity, I like how you use that word integrity, because it means to be integrated, mind, body, and soul. So when we are functioning in the highest of all of those areas and we're moving forward in love, because love is the only forward motion, when love is the intention and the root or the push or the undergirding of everything that you do, then people will recognize that. And either they're not ready or they are, but all we can do is just work on us and work on what we're doing and put out whatever, and the people who are ready will come and they'll be ignited, and we can ignite Christ. And one of my decrees is I ignite Christ in everyone I contact. And I think about that before I go on a show or before I write or before I do a conference. I have that intention.
Even before you go grocery shopping, right? Just so you generate. Yeah.
I ignite the Christ in everyone I contact. I ignite love in everyone I contact. I ignite security. I secure everywhere I go. Only God touches me. Only God sees me. And, I'm not a big scripture person, but there are some really great quantum science scriptures in the Bible. And there's one that talks about guarding your heart because it's the wellspring of life. And I looked at that and I was just like, God, that sounds very victim-y and protective. And I started looking at the real source of what the contact was, and actually doesn't mean guard. That's the word they picked, but it was translated differently. And actually the word is to be aware of your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. And that's true because the heart is the most magnetic, so emotions will magnetize back. And if we are aware of what we're putting out, then we can be more mindful of that, because and we can start collecting different things. If our mindset is I ignite Christ everywhere I go, or I'm going to go in this place without my diaper on and only God touches me, and you have that mental idea already, then guess what? Usually no one's going to mess with you or talk to you.
You have a boundary of you're shielded.
Yeah, you become invisible basically. And I'm not saying that it works every time, but I'm just saying I had to go out to 5 or 6 places the other day. I don't wear a mask. I've only been talked to about it a couple times. I was in Vegas. We were definitely wearing masks, but for the most part, I don't. And everyone does around me, and that's okay. I don't go around going take off your mask, and you're not,
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. The mutual respect, right? It's just because somebody's not where you're at, wherever they're at, let's hope it works for them and that's what they need, and that's so keep going,
Yeah, but I go out and I ignite the Christ in everyone I contact, and that's my decree, that's my truth, that's my belief. And when that belief is real, and what I mean by that is you can say something but not mean it. You could think something but not even believe it. I mean, going back to the notebook, I had that paper with the clip, and here I am teaching all this stuff, but it doesn't mean that I'm living it. It doesn't mean that I actually had a belief system that I was awesome, or that I had a divine, life, or that I was beautiful, or all those things. So it takes your will to actually have a belief system that lines up with God and that intention. But when you set it, there is an actual response. And, one way or another, you'll know, because you'll see what's coming back to you. You'll see the pattern. And, I just have to trust and believe that everything works out for me, because all things work together for those who love God, and I love God, and God is in me. So when God is in me and it's functioning on all the different places that it is activated and high functioning, then guess what? I'm going to attract. And even with this channel situation. So my channel got taken down this week, which is a really bummer, because it's 15 years of my work. A lot of it, I don't know if I can get back. And also, I had a minute, and I've had a couple minutes at different times where I'm just I'll think of a video that I wanted to send someone, or someone's looking for it. And I'm oh gosh, I don't even know if I have that backed up or whatever, and I'll have a minute. But in the end, what I mean is when I come into the agreement of, what? I'm going to get 7-fold, maybe even 100-fold. I'm going, this is going to work out for me. Somehow, some way, I'll get even 10 times the subscribers, 10 times the followers, and I'll be able to even connect with way more people because of this situation, and just go with the whole, like, God's looking after me, he's in me, she's in me, there's that union, and everything works out for me. Miracles are my destiny. This is what I do. This is my life. This is what we're here for. And we can either do it or not do it. And, are there going to be bad days and things that happen? Absolutely. But it's how we manage the emotions. What choices are we making with those emotions and those triggers? Can we work through them, or are we going to go in a hole and just like cry, or, do all the things that aren't going to serve? It's not saying that crying will serve, because sometimes crying is like the best detox ever. Matter of fact, some things will never detox any other way but tears. And so I encourage people, you know what, if you just need to cry, like, do it, like, get it out and do your thing, because we're taught not to cry, not to feel, to oppress, suppress, depress, and all of those things are just going to cause bigger signals and bigger opportunities later. So just, I just go with it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm sad, and like today I had a thing, and I'm just like, okay, you know what, I'm sad, let me give myself a minute, went outside, breathed, whatever, I'm good. I have good friends, I have you, I have lots of people who love me, and God's in me. So there you go.
Oh my gosh, totally right. And don't you think the pharmaceutical companies just and science, current science is banking on the mind fuckery and the low emotions and things like depression, anxiety, take this drug, and then, the other side of it is, oh, let's just drink or smoke and have a good time. And then the other is, oh, the super unconscious, let's just pull up to a fast food joint. And have emotional eating or whatever, and so a lot of the weight gain or fluctuations with somebody's physical well-being, those subconscious triggers that cause those choices and the ramifications, I guess, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, everything we do, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, we have the opportunity to do all for the glory of ourselves, God and us, our DNA. And all means all. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't, fallen off the wagon with keto, or had a piece of cake, or, whatever, drank or done anything, that is just like, well, that's probably not my highest. But also, I recommit. And, honestly, I felt like this really, really strong urgency about a week ago. I even posted about it, and I was like, I just felt this really strong urgency for people to really, really get in their highest functioning physical health right now, not just because of the obvious immunity opportunities on the planet, but just the choices that we can make one way or another that are going to keep us at our best, strongest emotionally, physically, mentally, because sugar will cause the serotonin, dopamine, all the stuff, it's such a chemical thing, and then all the other chemical things. I'm working with a lot of people on biofeedback, and entities keep showing up in a lot of people. Well, entities on waves, frequency is a 10. So we're 67 megahertz. If we drop down lower than 45, we're in deep trouble. Like, that's, even in 50s, anything below 67, you're starting to open yourself up to dis-ease. But when you get 25 is dead. So when you entertain and or participate in anything that's 10, which is lower than death, then your biofield is open for entities. And, we're already going through our own thought processes, but then things can be implanted in our thoughts. And when you're dealing with entities, you're wide open for thoughts and emotions. And so they can just, really, really play with you. And it's like, you know what, this is a good time for us all to buckle down and really stay in anything high vibrational, whether it's like crystals, essential oils, good food, nature. I know you are like the queen of nature and did all the nature stuff for years. And, but just going out for a minute and taking your shoes off and being in the sun, or if you don't have sun, at least put your feet in the ground, or use, something that's going to ground you. They have mats, and, we have devices that we can wear around our ankles when we sleep or whatever, or make sure you have EMFs on your computers and your cell phones, and on your smart meter, for God's sakes, definitely, if you have a smart meter, get like a cage or an EMF on there, because this is all frequency.
Right. So the nanite stuff, like, yeah, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's in the food. You know what? The supplements that I've been testing, I have worked, there's a lady here in town. I have to be really careful about even talking about supplements, because people will just go run off and get supplements, and most of them come from China. Well, guess what's in there? Nanos. So we got to know what we're putting in our mouth, even if we, we could be like thinking we're doing something really great. I just saw something about those naked smoothies or whatever, and they had poison in them, and they didn't even recall them. It's like, which I would never do one of those naked smoothies anyway, because it's like 58 to 72 carbs just for a little deal or whatever. It's like,
like what kind of poison is it? Like one of those like E. coli calls, like when they have like, even raw spinach might get recalled from a grocery store. Like,
I don't remember what it was. It was some sort of chemical that was in it, and they didn't even recall it. It was Pepsi. Pepsi owns them and puts it out. It's their product. I shall probably be in trouble for name calling, but
anyway, right? It's
I could look it up and tell you, but just something just sent to me a little bit ago. But so yeah, the nanos are in the diapers and the tests and
these freaking masks, these face masks, right? The fibers.
They're in there. They're in there. So it's just we can come above this. It will take our will. It will take actually being aware. That's a big thing, is just to be able to recognize what's coming in, because we're antennas, we're receptors. So if we're, off on, McDonald's food, or, just drank 55 sodas, or, off doing drugs or whatever your thing is, then you can actually be so out of it that, it attacks the frontal lobe first, your decision making, your senses are down, you're in a more vulnerable state. You may not make
because the fight or flight too, right? And it puts one in the decision making, like lapse of judgment. But
you can feel more weak and your energy is lower. And so you're not only attracting things in the biofield, which can get you more confused, but you're physically at a vulnerable state too. So this is not a time to screw around with anything of that. Like it's really the integrity word that you brought up, to be integrated, mind, body, and soul. Mind, what you're thinking about, what you're exposing your gates to, your eye gates, ear gates, breathing, all of them, your gates, your mental, what are you thinking about, and being aware of what you're thinking about. Like,
because our senses and endocrine system is all connected, and that's the power of our creativity, is the integration of that. And what is the health of all that, right?
And then the emotions, like if you have a minute, take your minute. Don't try to like make yourself bad about it. Just be like, okay, this is where I'm at. If you go get an x-ray because you think your arm is broke and it's broken in like 3 places, you're not going to be like, oh, you're a bad person. It's just like, okay, this is where I'm at, and just be okay with it for a minute and then move on. But if you go talk about it, put it on Facebook, tell, and I don't mean like have a person that loves you that can, bring you out of it or help coach you through it. But don't ever call someone that's going to be like, I know, and like blah, blah, blah. And then they give you 15 reasons why you should stay there, and that, instead of, helping you remember.
Or you're fucked because of the radiation. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, come on, we can like change the frequency patterns of the things that are harmful even.
Yep. So integrated mentally, spiritually, having good spiritual hygiene, being really careful. Like if someone is being a troll on your YouTube or your Facebook, just block. I'm not, it's not cancel culture. It's just spiritual hygiene. It's just like, if you argue, that's not going to help. It's just, they're not ready. Obviously, they're not your people. Like if they're going to be so bold to come on your page and put something derogatory or ugly, on your comments, or it's like, you know what, they can do that somewhere else. They've crossed a boundary now. So bye-bye.
Yeah, it's like boundaries and standing up for yourself is very different. Cancel culture and censorship. I mean, and this whole kind of false wokeness, it's like, while communism like seeps in, like where's people's head? Like, are you shocked? I mean, at what you're seeing?
I am, but I'm also really encouraged about the amount of people who are coming to. It's like more and more people. You know what? To be honest, now that I'm saying this, with my channel actually being gone, I've had so many people contact me and go, "Hey, I was looking for so-and-so video or whatever video," or someone saying, "Hey, oh my gosh, I was looking for your channel. What's going on?" And people I never would have thought, never, ever, ever, ever would have thought have reached out. And I'm just like, wow, I didn't know you were watching. It's like, okay, and so that's one encouraging thing about it. Now, rounding up everybody and getting them subscribed again, that God in me is going to remember how to magnetize that, and it'll happen. And I'm hoping you guys out there can help me too. Like, let's not let them win. If you guys could share and subscribe and get that out, we can all do something, because
exactly. Yes.
I'm getting people back. I'm going to go get everything uploaded that has, that I did save, and I'm not giving up. Like, this is,
you do the most incredible interviews, and you are such a powerhouse. You do so much, and you've been putting stuff out for such a long time.
15 years. I don't even know how many videos I had, and there's like 25,000 people following. So I'm going to get like 100,000 people following, or more. So there you go, in your face. Like, it's just like, they can't stop the truth. It only takes one person. One person can know the truth. It doesn't matter what's going on externally. It doesn't take away the truth. So that's what they don't understand, or cancel clear. Let's say everyone is awake, everyone understands truth, and everyone's already there. Let's like move that forward. And now that that's happened, what's new and different for me, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I'm so great. I love that my world is awake, and just going with that forward motion of like it already happening, and seeing it happening and experiencing it in my body as if it already happened, so I can put that in the code and bring it exactly to me. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of teaching and, interviews and stuff, just like you've been doing for decades too. And, more and new, better things to come. And that's all, that's, I can only do what I can do now. And just like everybody else. And I'm going to focus on that. And instead of with all the things I can't control, or I'll be like insane. But, that staying present keeps me a little bit more grounded.
Right. Oh, beautiful. And even, a change of mind, when a person has to shift a perspective, sometimes the physiology still has to purge and clean out. It's like something, might end up coming to the surface you don't expect, because something else is dredging itself out. So as elemental beings, we got to sort of expect a lot of symptoms, but best thing is to not give our power away and to accept the messiness of it all.
Yeah, it's just where we're at, and we're going to push through, and we're going to transmute, and we're going to get there. And if you do you have my book? If you don't, I'll send it to you. The Science of Miracle.
Yes. And look at the cover, everybody. I mean, it's just
the Merkaba. I love it. But yeah, and the under part of it is remembering.
Just clean our counter. I would be grabbing it, but it's in my collection,
yeah.
And you have cards that go with it. So yeah, keep going.
I use them more as like flashcards and energy cards on a science level, because you can pick out like whatever one that you feel like visually connected to or just energetically connected to. I'll pick one right now, and or you can use them as flashcards. But if I hold this real crystal in my hand, which all of these are my crystals, by the way, because I took one for the team. I just had to get the pictures to do the science, right? But these are all actually my pictures. So this is bloodstone. I mean, I actually have these crystals, and I was realizing when I was traveling that my suitcase would be so full of crystals, because I would have to have all these crystals and books everywhere I went, but and essential oils. But so this one is bloodstone. And if I had this in my hand and you tested me, then I would be strong, because obviously I need it. That's why I picked it. But if I took the crystal away and I just had this card the card will carry the energy and I'm just as strong. Now I could remove this card, and if you test me, I'm not as strong, but then whenever you hold it back up again, you're strong again. So I like them because you could bring this deck pretty much anywhere, or you could put this like under your pillow, in your purse, in your backpack. I use them for tools for energy, and then or flashcards if you just want to learn, because on the back of everything it actually has like what bloodstone is, what it does. It's known for kidneys. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it's not interesting. It's so divine because that's where I'm at. The lymphatic system, insomnia, circulation, cleanses, restores, and nourishes the body physically, emotionally, spiritually. Bloodstone, it can be an orator of sorts and invites us all to the path of remembering love. The decree is, I am present and in perfect time now. And the companion oils are cypress, juniper, lemongrass, and geranium. So on the back, it gives like the full on, and there's 80 cards to pick from. So I use that with my book, the Science of Miracles, and just help try to build the field as much as possible. So when I do go anywhere or I do anything, then I know that I'm mentally, spiritually, energetically strong to do whatever is necessary for my day.
And that's your genius. And you're like walking, talking that sort of genius embodiment, right? And this is what I really appreciated when I got to know you about the Science of Miracles, is understanding the stones and crystals and herbs and the chakras and frequency, right? So the root chakra is going to be very different than like the crown or the galactic, but the spiraling and the integration part, is where it's at. But with the cards in the book, the spontaneity of, okay, well, what is the needed medicine right here and right now? And in every moment we have to, ask ourselves that, so that we can call in the guides and the allies and the alliances on a, elemental, physical, nutritional level to support us, right? So, if we're extra sensitive in the mornings, or we got into an argument, and one opens that book, what stone or crystal or herb right now could help me in this moment? That's what I love about your amazing gift, which you've gifted me with.
Awesome.
So yeah. What else do you want to share though? Like, I can see it in the background too, and you got all this cool stuff. And I love the fact that your cat is just hanging out.
I always have a cat around. I work a lot with animals, work at a couple shelters, and they have an amazing frequency. Essential oils have frequency. So I'm loaded with definitely essential oils, because every one of them has a different frequency. And then even like cats will purr at 157 megahertz. So we're 67 megahertz, and you get around a purring cat, that's going to automatic increase. Dogs, I haven't tested dogs, but I know they got to be high. And the thing about animals, well, horses are one of the highest, but dolphins are the highest, and their field is like 350. Their biofield is 350 feet. So, and horses are really far away too. Far out too. So they can like tell when you're coming from far away, and they're just, they're so majestic. Oh my gosh. And so, but animals are just so amazing, and they're so intuitive. And one of their big jobs is to help like transmute what comes up in us. And, I see it over and over again when I'm working with an animal. I can bioscan animals, and usually whatever is going on with the pet is a reflection of what's going on with the person that is the owner of the pet, because the subconsciously, or I don't know if it's consciously, the animal will try to take it away from their owner and be like a martyr to take it on, so the person will live. And it's like so sad. But so we got to not just be good for us, but we got to be good for our animals too, so they can be, healthy, and we don't put that on them. And then just making sure that they have good energy too. They need EMF support, and they can use essential oils and a good diet and all those good things too, because
because keep going.
Oh, that's it. They need all the support too.
Totally. I mean, it is a relationship and a bit of give and take, right? So when you look at like natural disasters and then also like bioweapon and sort of induced superstorm disasters, I mean, we're dealing with elementals, right? Like nothing can ultimately control Mother Earth, but as long as we're in a false matrix that can mind control us, we're going to see things reflected back that it's like, this is an artificial, or this is an artificial storm, you know what I mean? So, and we're trying to navigate like, okay, what's real and what isn't constantly. Like, was Katrina like a natural event, or the tsunami in Thailand, you know? So like weather weapons and geoengineering is a whole thing too.
They've been doing it for years, and it's about control. It's about food source. It's about money. Ultimately, it's about trafficking. There's a lot of reasons why they do what they're doing, and
it's like alien agenda sort of lower matrix stuff. So, you know, feeding on the chi or the elementals and obviously, you know, the innocence of children. So yeah, keep going with all that. Like,
oh, that's true too. Like, you know, the Super Bowl and different things, and the concert stadiums, they're all set in certain ways. So energetically, they can live off the leash of, you know, the ultimate way that it is, that we're all projecting in those times. So
the scalar weather like events, I mean, it's all tied in, like, and they're patented technologies like DARPA and like, you know, and
yeah.
Yeah. And it's to target, you know, us to not work together. It's like almost like the root of it all. I mean, it's designed to separate us and trigger us so that we create chaos amongst each other instead of like dancing in the streets in the right kind of way. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think somebody might be here.
Oh yeah, and even like Burning Man requiring the jabs. I mean, and that was supposed to be all about freedom, you know? It's just this. But if you got to go, I understand. Sorry, everybody, I'm not really on camera. There's construction going on around me, and I just don't want to be distracted.
I didn't hear that about Burning Man. Are you serious?
Oh yeah, they require passports, and you require you to be jabbed.
A passport?
Or require you to be jabbed, and have the negative PCR test. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is crazy. And it's outside.
I know, and higher consciousness, you know, and people that have, well, awareness about like herbs or nutrition.
Me, I did not know. That's news to me. But anyway, okay, yeah. Well, thanks for letting me know that.
Well, this cancel culture stuff, when they think it's coming from a place of being woke, you know, we see like Cardi B being Woman of the Year and Dr. Seuss being canceled. Like, if that's not enough for people, what is? You know, just, it's beyond like hypocrisy. It's like, so if that, and like the Satan shoes and the things that Twitter and Facebook leaves up and what they choose to take down. I mean, the fact that you're censored, and I've been censored, you know, off a lot of stuff, and this particular channel might be taken down, but you can't shut down what we're creating here. So there'll always be a place to recover it. And so that's where kind of the Phoenix comes in, where, you know, you can break the mind control, but then the transformation process of coming out the other end is that Phoenix rising, you know?
Well, and
that's the alchemy part. Sorry.
And no,
right? I mean, miracle energy.
Yeah. And I'm believing too that, you know, because a few people have said, you know, even though your channel's gone, your teaching is still resonating. Like, it's in the atmosphere. It's in the DNA of the people who watched it. And if anything, it's maybe a seed, even if it's not completely germinating and like got an action yet. Like, you know, how many times have we been told things over the years and you're just like, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, that person was right. You know, it's like, sometimes it takes like a few million times to hear something before it actually, you know, sinks in that, oh yeah. So, you know, that's all we can do is just water and plant and, you know, keep on loving people and, you know, working on ourselves. And otherwise,
and the unconditional love is like the ultimate, like, sun behind the sun. not just the confidence or creativity. It's that sun behind the sun that generates, it's that, to me, true God source, like you said, with the willpower and action, coming from, unconditional love, allows for forgiveness, which can clear, ancestral patterns and a lot of the trauma fields, within ourselves and everywhere.
Yes, yes, yes.
But, for some people, they're like, well, that's unforgivable. But, that's where the boundaries and like moving on and knowing, give yourself the time and respect that if you're not ready to forgive, you can at least forgive it on a bigger picture level so that you can move on. And, or else, like you were talking about, the energetic signature of trauma, and how that keeps us looping in these,
Yeah. And forgiveness doesn't mean you got to go hang out with somebody, just to be clear. Like you said, we forgive for us more than we do for them. It's the cutting of the cord. It's the energetic, releasing attachments. It's just like, you know what? I remember my love for me. I am love and I stay, and clearing the air. And, I forgive this person because, whatever reason, but it doesn't mean like, let's go hang out or that we got to keep them on our page or let them, because they're not in a place that's good and they're going to harass or troll or physically harm or mentally, or, you might need to block them on your phone or move out or kick them out or, they're depending on the situation. It's like the oxygen mask has to be there first, like oxygen mask, it's so counter too, because a lot of the programming, especially in the spiritual communities or any kind of service, whether you're a doctor or a nurse or any health provider, massage therapy, whatever, there's a tendency to be, or as a mom, to put like everyone out there, before ourselves. But it's like burnout has kind of been like, it's almost like cool to be burned out. And it's like, not so much. So we got to remember us and make sure that we're in a good place and keep those boundaries of knowing like how to say no if your no needs to be a no, and accepting what you are called to do and the time that you are with the plate that you have. And, there's seasons for things, so if you're working with something or doing something now, it may be the right time now, but then it won't be like tomorrow or next week or whatever. And that's not bad or good. It's just what it is. And I'm not saying like go out and quit everything either too, but also, just be mindful. Again, it goes back to mindfulness of like, what gives you energy? Like I try to pay attention to that. And I know you do too. It's like, when we did that video with Carrie and Jen Eason, and we were kind of personally, I guess I could say that we were kind of like having a thing before that. But then when we went on, it was like we got off and we're like, wow, I just feel like I just got like a shot of adrenaline. Like I just felt like so good. And you were saying the same thing. Everybody was like, wow, that was so amazing because we created something so beautiful. And that creation and synchronicities of everybody's vibration and like what was brought in that moment was like, it was uplifting. And if we could pay attention to those, everything with whether it's like eating or drinking or sleeping or supplements or essential oils or what you read, what movies you're watching, what music you're listening to. You post a lot on music. I love that you're like, oh, I'm listening to this song. Like the things that make you happy, like paying attention to that and like following those things that actually fuel you and give you life and help build you instead of taking away. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and also like our ability to shift the energy signature of something. It's like even the jab, it's like we can place our hands on it and change the frequency. Like, or if we're like on a road trip, oh, I had to pull over and grab this snack from a convenience store or fast food joint because I didn't have any other choice, but we can bless it with our hand chakras, So how we can transmute physical matter when we can hold a sacred space for it, right? So in this day and age that we're in right now, people getting jabbed, don't you feel that same ability as far as shifting energy is there, that we can help those that might regret that choice to not deal with the negative ramifications on a physical level?
Yeah,
Or what do you think?
energetically, and then on a physical level, zeolites. I don't know to the level with this, DNA, RNA, mRNA, but everything is
That curse, it's got a curse, it feels. Yeah, anyway, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. Right.
I mean, everything is energy. So, it's about, detoxing. So if there's anything activated as far as nanotech, we got to kill the robots, we got to get them out. But if it's anything alive, kill whatever it is, even if it's like a parasite. I mean, parasites are a thing. Parasites in your physical body can actually actually do have their own energy. And so you can feel like super confused. You grind your teeth, you can pair of sights, you can have misguided clarity and see like not physically double, but be confused mentally, because it's like having a billion people in your house, whether it's fungus, mold, parasites, and it puts off an energy into the field that says, I'm a victim. You could live off me, cancel Claire. And so physically, going back to the things we can do physically, we can kill the parasites, we can get rid of the nano, do whatever we can to do our best to shut all those things down. So we're sovereign, and that there isn't anything feeding off what we're thinking, what we're doing, what we're talking about, our own physical bodies, our own energy. Like, I choose sovereignty. I am love, and I stay. I make that my truth, my belief, and then I keep up, a visual of some kind. I may program a crystal to do that, or put on essential oils, and I use a crystal. I may use one of these, whatever. I do something as an anchor to hold it and stick it in my purse or my back pocket, or just mentally feel it and know that everywhere I go, I'm touching people with love and God. And those things are so powerful. I mean, they're really, really powerful.
Yes. But with some of it comes a healing crisis that people have to be prepared for, but gentleness and patience are most needed. And, understanding crystals and stones, one can know what level of sort of reactivity their vibration is at. So,
Yes.
for some, it might be a black stone will help them with psychic attack. For somebody else, they might need to open their mind a little bit more. So they would want something, in the higher dimensional. And then, there was a lot of imposters. So that's the scary part, the false light part of it, and people attribute the term false light with, Lucifer, but it's the imposters, or the new age deceptions, I think are difficult, because what your book and, the science of miracles, goes beyond all of it and brings it back to this greater physics and chemistry of who we truly are as organic beings. But I think people are really struggling with religion, the worship of, the Christ energy, or being a reborn Christian, and then being like, oh, but the tarot and crystals and new age stuff and astrology is all bad, bad, bad. Like, I could talk to you forever, but I mean, like, just maybe we could cover that, and then we'll get your info. But what are your thoughts about people that just don't know where to place themselves because they think it's either this or that?
I think you just have to pay attention to your intuition and go with that inner guidance, because what is good for me may not be good for you. And like one lady, she was super scared of crystals being like the devil or whatever. And I was just like, then you shouldn't use crystals. If that's your belief system, then you're going to carry that. That's going to be an anchor for you thinking the devil's going to get you. So it's like,
right.
Okay,
Totally.
if you think that, then don't do it. It's like, it's not true, but if that's what you think, or you could, there's a lot. It's just like, there is a lot of programming. There's a lot of teaching, different religions have, done things with their books and things to take stuff out or misrepresent or, hide things from our abilities to keep us powerless or thinking that we have to rely on something else. But the truth is, God's already in here, and God knows, and so we can have the mind of Christ. We can have the heart of Christ. We can function on our highest when we do. And I'll tell you what, if you can clean up your diet and be completely like physically, mentally aware and sober, and like not submitting to entities and participating in it, then you're going to be clear enough to recognize when truth even shows up. Because if you're in a vulnerable state, physically, mentally, spiritually, and then truth could literally be right here, and you'd be like, I don't even recognize you because truth isn't in here. So, or just the frontal lobe ability to get clarity on things. And so this is the time right now, more than I can ever say, for us to be vigilant, like really, really, really get in that pocket of being having intention and focus on the integrity part, mind, body, spirit, and being mentally fit, spiritually fit, physically fit, doing all the things to stay clear. Because I tell you what, when we're in alignment and we're clear, then that's when the revelation comes. That's when the ideas come, the creativity comes. That's when we start attracting prosperity and people and all the things that need to work out for everything to fall into place. And, money and resources and whatever, that all has energy. So if we can tap into the energy and stay in that energy and hold that energy, maintain it, then that's whenever we have the opportunity for the door to even be open for us to receive those things and walk it out and actually have a different pattern instead of the old patterns that we may have had. I mean, it's an exciting time.
Totally. Well, accepting the losses and having greater visions and dreams to connect with, but also allowing spontaneity to be a guide instead of, like sometimes our higher awareness has surprises for us, and sometimes adversity is that in disguise. You know what I mean?
For sure. Definitely.
It's like, like a lot of people in hindsight, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that happened. And that's their miracle, that cancer, that injury is that miracle they didn't realize,
Yeah. I was just talking to Peter Slattery on last week about that, because it's like that butterfly in the cocoon or the chick in the egg. And, someone could come over and be like, let me help you get out, or let me get you, this butterfly needs help. We can see the struggle. But, champions are not just automatically champions in the ring. They become champions in the ring. The chick through the struggle is what gives them the exercise, the strength to do other things later on. So if we just do everything, if everything's just done for us, then we may not be able to be up for what's next. And so it's part of, the struggle, like you said, can be the awakening. A lot of times pain is the best teacher of all. And it can be the wake up call of like going, oh my God, what am I doing? How did I get here? How did I get myself here? And the good news is no matter what any of you are in, you can get yourself out. Every one of you, no matter where you are, if you feel like you're in a bad spot, this could be your wake up day. You could be today, like you could make the choice right now to recommit and do something different and make new choices and get different patterns. And we all get that opportunity every single moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. And that's what's so cool about life in general, is we are our own experiment, and we're set here to learn and to remember love. And each choice is giving us that ability to be able to even experience love. It's like, you could be a jerk and a bitch and or whatever, or we can just be like, okay, and just love people and go like, bye-bye, and love you from over here, and just keep doing your thing, and practice those exercises and build up those spiritual muscles and keep on going.
Oh, brilliance. Oh man, that's just a really great way to end this, even though I could talk to you forever. But seriously, right? In every moment we generate the energy, we choose, and we can be a healing force and be enhancing the greater immune system of ourselves and this environment, and expel all the parasites and demonic forces.
Oh my God.
And say goodbye to them with love and forgiveness. Like, see you guys, bye all these adversities.
Yes. Yeah.
But when they continue to show up, it's like the gratitude for their assistance in helping us to build muscle and get to know ourselves better, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're just using everybody. Everybody is us. There is no them. So we're using everybody just to show us that something is still in the DNA that brought them to our forefront anyway. So it gives us the chance to reflect and go, oh gosh, that's still there. Okay, let's work on that. And then just move forward into the new version of you to be able to create something different.
Right. Well, the ultimate, like, soul and spiritual development journey, is also going to put us at the edge and almost take it all away.
Yes.
And but there's no reason to fear it. It's like, how much do you want it? Where's your willpower? Like you said, and that.
Time to meet Will. Time to meet Will. Time to meet Will.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to do so much awesome stuff. We've talked about going on a tour and getting a tour thing going, but everybody please subscribe to her. She's one of my dearest friends and soul sisters. She's just one of the most incredible women in my life. And everything that you do outside of my own personal adoration for you and respect, your book and your intelligence and knowledge is at the highest level. And I recommend everybody, you're going to feel a lot better to move in the direction of this woman's wisdom, her channels, her book, and her cards. It'll bring you close to home, the ultimate reunion between you, your soul and yourself, and God source and goddess.
And I love you, and I love all your people, and someone's here again. So I'm going to let you go. But if you guys could go to swiftfire.org and at least get on my newsletter, Swift as in quickfire.org. Get on the newsletter so when I start something new, well, I do have a new channel, you can get on there too. But at least if whatever's taken down or people are doing their stuff, it's like you can find out where I am and what I'm doing, what interviews are popping up. I have like 5 or 6 interviews a week, just like Laura. She's got her great information, and we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in the future too. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you so much, Laura. You're so amazing. I just love you so much. Appreciate you. What you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you too. And everybody I'll get the links up pretty rapidly here. And man, just you rise, you shine, you're an unstoppable force. And it's just been incredible to spend this day with you. I feel so uplifted. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Bless you guys. Have a good one. Hope to see you around, everybody. All right. Bye.